Come here. My name is Dr. Chatter and I've got some things I want to talk to you about. So the other day I was thinking, people are dumb. And the dumb comes out when they talk. I mean, just think about what I just said. The other day. Seriously. Are we still in the Stone Age? There isn't really a day or a night. Just a perceived flow of time from our own point in space on a rotating ball of mud. And we say other things like, it's a nice day, or, oh look, the stars came out. An agreeable pattern of weather doesn't make the theoretical moment of time any better or worse than any other moment of time with so-called bad weather, just because you have an opinion about meteorological events. And stars can't come out because they never went into anything. They are always shining until they inevitably explode or implode back into themselves. In fact, it completely misaddresses the fact that our sun is a star as well, which we say is only up during the day. The sun neither rises nor sets and thus can't be up or down because it, in fact, never shifts positions from the relative viewpoint of our planet. Even though it does in fact move along with the other stars that fill this galaxy. Humans tend to think of time as some sort of immutable and unchangeable object with a tangibility all its own. Of course, this is for many reasons, such as timepieces like clocks or watches, the cyclical nature of the 4 seasons in the year, and of course the inevitability of our own death. Although now we also see it as being more real because most scientists are agreeing with the idea of the Big Bang being the beginning of this universe. Yet they admit that the universe was here before that, albeit in a much more condensed state of being. However, time, while it may not actually exist in this dimension which we call reality, does appear to be real because our brains actually take a fraction of a second to process information. It is because our perceptions are mentally always a fraction of a second in the past, along with the ability to think about what might happen in what we term the future, that we even think time exists. But there really is no past and there is also no future, for one truly can only physically live in the present. Even if one could move to a relative position that appears to be the past or future of any other moment, that person would still only be in that specific moment, which would be the present from their viewpoint, even though their perception is still technically considered to be just slightly in the past. Now, if we think of time like we think of radioactive particle waves, we can see how it flows through all matter in the multiverse of other dimensions like the Mobius strip. Time neither begins nor ends. It just keeps folding in on itself despite appearing to change. This of course leads to a large amount of confusion due to people's work schedules. Can you really be sure you are getting to work on time Monday morning when you don't even know if you have the right day of the week, let alone the correct hour of day, since time truly doesn't exist? I mean, think about it. Days and nights never truly begin or end. We just put up an arbitrary line as a relative starting and stopping point. And if one were to travel in geosynchronous orbit with a planet, it would always be the same hourly moment, even though with every rotation the date would go up on the calendar by 1. There really is no true starting point and no true end point whenever or wherever the myth of time exists. Even Einstein believed that matter and energy never cease but instead only change. Such is the universe, and so it is with time. In fact, some scientists today liken reality to a hologram, a two-dimensional plane with all the information of a three-dimensional plane rendering space, and therefore consider time to be relative to the observer, like the theory proposed by Einstein. So I suggest we evolve our minds and speech accordingly. Instead of the stars are out or the sun is up, we should say, the sun is, or the stars are. And instead of it's a nice day or it's a nice night, we should say, existence is pleasing to me at this moment. Which brings me to my next point. Even holidays are a dumb thing to be happy about or even say, because of the word being a corruption of the term holy day. And many of the modern holidays that we celebrate are far from being holy when we actually celebrate them. In fact, they are just cultural tradition, which we collectively arrange along our insane concept of time referred to as a year, which are approximately 365 rotations of our planet on a central polar axis, as the planet itself revolves around a star which is not even at the center of the larger gravitational axis in the middle of our galaxy that it, and all the other stars, travel around. At each of these 365 smaller rotations are only considered to be day for about half of each individual spin. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the solar orbits of this planet around its sun are also small compared to the much larger galactic rotation, which we don't even really keep track of, as our sun, itself, revolves around a massive black hole at the central axis of the Milky Way. So what makes half a planetary rotation more important than something on a galactic scale just because it might favor our own biological or social needs? The only thing that can be said for certain is that people are dumb and say stupid things all the time. Or they repeat the same stupid statement at increasing decibel levels until they drown out all the other stupid things being said. Which doesn't make them right, it just means they have a psychological need for attention or gratification that forces relationships of codependency. Like with most politicians and religions. Believe them or they shall rebuke you with a decibel rating that makes you too emotionally abused and confused to counter their side of the debate. Please, don't be stupid. Talk smarter. Unless you are Weird Al. Then dare to be stupid all you want. Because you rock, Al. Thanks for listening. Now we dance.